2, 3, eyes on me.
Thank you. Eyes on you.
It is time to clean up your snack, put away your materials. When you finish putting away your snack, I would like you guys to please find a seat on the floor in this area. We're not going to
Imagine someone having 55 of those. Chubby Bunny Stick Challenge. Chubby
Yeah,
Bunny.
if you've ever seen the board.
Chubby Bunny.
You're okay with this.
Joe, Griffey.
Nope. I need you in a semicircle in this area right here. Alright. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Olive.
Put your water bottles
Are
in
you in a semicircle or are you in front center? Are you part of our semicircle or are you front center?
I'm part of that.
Then show me your part of it with your body.
Reverse.
Alright. I think Joe's pointing at a good spot, so you can move
And
there.
there should be anybody in the middle.
Correct.
It's a semicircle.
It's not a circle like Dr. Goose.
We're waiting for one person.
Karen,
They could
Did you
join
find a
us
spot
right
next to
down
Bronson
there.
or- Olive. Correct.
Because problems to make her circle.
Alright. So in the last week or so, we looked at a couple of kind of one-off topics in history. We looked at first Pickard Guilds, right? They won in the War of 1812. See a hand from Bronson, yes.
She made this. Well, Mary Pickersville and her daughter,
Pickers Guild.
Caroline
Mhm.
Pickersville, and her servants and slaves and cousins
Mhm.
made the Star Spangled Banner to fly in Fort
Okay.
Henry.
Very good. Then we also learned last week about another type of change maker, right? Who was the girl who wrote to Mr. Lincoln? Yeah. Do you recall? Alex, you want to help him out?
Grace.
Grace Goodell, right?
Grace.
And what did she tell Mr. Lincoln? Now?
She told him that he should get whiskers.
And what does she mean by whiskers? He's not a cat, right?
Like like a beard and a mustache.
Oh, okay.
And like facial hair, maybe really long sideburns.
Yeah. And so we learned a little about the impact of presidents, right? The type of facial hair presidents have had throughout history and how it's kind of changed over time. So today we're learning about a different figure, a little more contemporary, but not current day. And his name is Duke Ellington.
What's the computer?
Don't worry about it. So Duke Ellington is a famous jazz musician. And before we get any further into this, I thought it'd be good for us to think about, well, what is jazz, right?
Jazz is
So,
music.
I would like you to take one and pass it on to your group. Here's your one, pass it on. No, other way around. If you're holding on to that one, then pass it around. There.
I know.
So let's read through this first. Come on, let's move it along. Let's pass one. One. Yes. Thank you. All right. Bronson kindly offered to start reading for us. So let's hear a little about the jazz history.
Some people consider jazz as America's classical music. Jazz was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, during the early 1900s, when the musicians mixed ragtime, marches, blues, and African American musical traditions.
Swing and.
like swing and baseball.
Good.
At the same time, jazz spread from the whole United States to many countries. And today, jazz can be heard all around the globe.
Alright, Caitlin, next paragraph. Jazz music.
There is a lot of variety of jazz, but most jazz is very
Tough word, syncopated.
syncopated.
Mhm.
What does that mean?
It's a very particular rhythm. Sure.
Has a move forward underneath on swing. It uses bend or blue notes.
Alright. We'll learn a little more about what that means in a bit. Olive, can you finish the page, please?
You might listen to a dozen different jazz recordings of the same song. They each sound different. In most jazz performances, individuals play solos, which they improvise.
Let's pause there. It's another good vocab word as it's highlighting. What-
Improvise means
I want to see hand. Nash.
improvise means like to like
Let me try it. Come on.
like
So would I, if I was improvising with the recorder, would I have sheet music in front of me?
yeah.
I would.
No. It's like doing it without. No.
I wanna hear-
Improvising is like doing stuff without memorizing.
In a way, yep. Okay.
Or it's
I'll zoom that on for a minute.
doing something like dancing, playing quarter, or like talking without planning it. So you just do it.
Doing
on
it,
what
just like
comes
the-
right up into your mind.
Right. It's kind of going off the cuff. Is an expression you might use, or just stream of consciousness. What you're kind of thinking of at the moment. So you would not, in terms of music.
Like you're making it out.
Let's put hands down. I'll help us define it. So in terms of music, that would mean that you're not playing particular notes at a certain time, right? You're kind of just saying, you know what, I'm feeling this guitar riff right now. I want to go with this, or this trumpet solo I want to play right now, right? That's what you're going with. I'm okay if you're lying down, just switching gears. I'm okay if you're lying down, but I need you to be facing me. So there's a couple of you who need to sit up enough to face me. I know the floor is not as comfortable as the other is.
No, I am.
So that would be improvisation, right? That's where you kind of play with the song and you're not really going off sheet music.
Should I keep going?
Carol, is this a question about improvisation?
Yeah. Yeah, sort of.
We do, which wouldn't be improvisation, right? So that might be a good example. Alex, if we were just to show up to our ceremony on Thursday, would it be good for us to improvise that?
No.
Right, we want to be prepared, right? Because the whole school's there, we want to
No.
show a good presentation to them, right? All right. Jazz artists. Continue. Jazz artists.
Jazz artists with vocalists and instrumentalists also like to perform their music in their own visual style.
Right. Everyone adds kind of their distinctive flair to it. So this is just a little bit of background on jazz. Before we hear about Duke Ellington, I thought it'd be good for us to actually learn a little bit more about the type of music of jazz from people who can speak to it better. So this gives us a little bit of the kind of the nitty gritty, right? It tells us like, all right, you know, this is the type of music they play, these are the types of notes they might use. It's a little bit more academic, this page, but I think what would be good is to hear from people describing kind of the emotion or the feeling of blues and its significance within American culture of the last couple centuries. So
Me and Alex played a jazz song.
So here is some folks talking about jazz.
Jazz is like love. It's something we recognize when we encounter it. It's very hard to define.
It's fun to hear. It's complex. It's creative. It's inspiring. It's basically a life for us.
Well, it's always moving forward. It isn't music of the past, it's music of today, it's music of the future.
Jazz came out of the African American community experience, and much of that is based on the Black church. Call and response is an active component of praise and worship.
So what might he mean by call and response as an active part of maybe going to church in this case? Call and response. So I say, I'll give you an example. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me.
1, 2, eyes on you.
All right, so that's a common response, right? I say a certain set of words which
Or
tell you that you need to respond in time.
class. And you say teacher, teacher, teacher.
Also a good example, right? So in the musical sense, right? If I'm a percussionist, I'm a drummer, right? And I'm playing a certain little beat, there's kind of a calm response I might have with another player in jazz. I might have a trumpeter playing off of what I'm doing with the drums, right? So there's kind of this back and forth, which we'll see a little bit later on. But there's a lot of this back and forth, kind of like instruments almost talking to each other. Like the trumpet will go, and then like a saxophone playing. It's kind of unique to jazz, but let's hear it more.
The leader speaks, and then the audience responds. The person who's taking the solo makes a musical statement. Someone might respond to that statement. So it becomes an actual conversation that's going on. It's a conversation. One of the hallmarks of jazz is improvisation. And so you're responding to lots of things, ideas that you have in your head, things that you know, things that are coming at you in a millisecond. You really want to lose yourself in the music. And you don't know what's coming out of you. But the only thing that's coming out of you is what's inside of you.
Jazz expresses core American values: freedom, risk-taking, cultural diversity, innovation, creative collaboration, and democracy.
When you see me coming, baby, raise your window up high.
In a democracy, everybody gets a vote. In a good jazz band, everybody gets a voice.
I think that's an interesting comment. So in a democracy, everyone gets a vote. In a jazz band, everyone gets a voice. So if you have a band, right, you might have a trumpeter or a banjo player in old-timey jazz, pianist, someone who plays the piano, trumpeter, right? You may have a whole array of instruments. I know it's a funny word. You may have a whole array of instruments there, but everyone kind of has like their little moment in the spotlight where they get a shine for their song.
It's inclusive. And I think that's the wonderful thing about jazz, but also about this country, is that we all have the opportunity to have a voice. And to me, jazz epitomizes that.
You better hang your head and cry.
I don't think you can go through thinking about American music without touching on jazz and realizing that at some point jazz is what created R&B, is what led to rock and roll, is what led to the songs that you can listen to in your car today.
It has influenced language. It has influenced fashion. It has influenced social interaction.
Jazz and culture
So does that like jazz has had a big impact on American culture?
are inextricably linked. You can't tell the story of America without jazz. The jazz collection here is one of the core strengths of the museum's collections. It's really a crown jewel in the Smithsonian. The museum's jazz collections cover the whole sweep of the music's history: sheet music, manuscripts, photographs, films, stage clothing, paintings.
We have awards. We have multiple Grammys. That for Ella, that for Duke.
Do you know what a Grammy is?
Yeah,
That's
I know.
the-
It's a music award.
Yeah, yeah.
A great award.
We have Duke Ellington's Presidential Medal of Freedom.
We acquired Duke Ellington's archives in 1988, and we wanted to bring that music alive, to make the archives sing. So the best way to do that was to have our own orchestra.
Music is a live thing. It has a spirit, it has an energy. And you cannot appreciate music just by looking at a sheet of paper. It's experienced best in a live situation. So the orchestra takes the music off the page and breathes new life into it.
Jazz Appreciation Month is a month every April, every year, to cast a spotlight on jazz.
This music has a long arc of influence. And it's been something that has been embraced all around the world.
Jazz is our history, but also jazz is still happening. Let's celebrate that. Let's do something with that.
Jazz is such a vital part of America's cultural heritage. It's really important that the public understand it, appreciate it, and value it. Jazz is America, and America is jazz.
Really?
So, on that note, they made mention of,
Can you play jazz music?
we're going to later on. We didn't actually turn that on. We made mention of a couple of different things in that video, but they mentioned Duke Ellington in particular by name. And this is a story which I actually quite love. It's won a couple of different awards. So we talked a little bit about the Grammys, right? Those are awards for being a really strong musician in a number of different genres and types of music. So you might have someone who's a really good rock and roll person, or pop music, or rap and R&B, but they all can earn awards. What are the Oscars? Nash.
Like in acting?
Yeah, they're for movies, right? So they're awards given to people in movies. Golden Globes, it's for television, things like that. So similarly, in children's literature, there are awards given out. So this book has been given a Caldecott Award, honorary award, and it's also been given the Curtis Scott King Award. Both of those are very prestigious. Would you agree, Ms. Cortese, within children's? Yeah. So it's usually a sign that whoever wrote this put something together that was quite significant and well done. Furthermore, this is actually an author I got to meet last year. Her name is Andrea Davis Pinkney, and you can see she was the writer. Her husband, Brian Pinkney, was the illustrator. And interestingly enough, or cool connection, the method he uses to draw his illustrations is the same you guys practice. So I borrowed this from Oscar, but you know the little scratch board?
That's my print.
Oh, it's yours? Sorry, that was Oscar's desk. But this kind of thing is what he did for all the images in this book. So you can tell, right? I'll just pass around the cover, but if you look at each of the, if you look at Duke himself, within the book there is kind of this. We're not going to open it up. I'll show it. If you look at it, right, it's kind of a scratch board. You see like the swirls on his attire. You look at kind of a piano and how it's kind of all these textures, and, his face, his hair, and the music. It's all very particular.
Mr. Rain,
Yes.
don't they also don't they give out Oscars also to like
Rufus.
like there is also some like Nickelodeon awards like you get.
Yeah, there's plenty of different types of awards.
Yeah,
That's not really the point. I just meant to show you that this is an author who is well regarded, is well known. So it was interesting. She told me, I got to hear her speak, and she talked a little bit about this book, Alex, as we sit up. She talked a little bit about this book, and she's just saying how she's very particular about how she does her research. So she finds information online or elsewhere. Sit up. And she verifies everything she has in here. So we'll hear a little more about Duke Ellington when we start reading this. But one thing to be aware of is there's a lot of kind of old-timey language in the book. So there's terms that they would use, which we not use nowadays, but there's Rufus, you're calling out. But there's terms we may use that in this book that we may not use nowadays. So if you have a question about one, I'll pause after each page, and if you want to raise your hand and say, hey, what did that mean? Like, that's acceptable, okay? So let's get started. So this is Duke Ellington, The Piano Prince and His Orchestra. It's by Andrea Davis Pinkney and Brian Pinkney's illustrator. So before we get started this, I would like people to sit up on their bottoms. All right. If we go back in a minute, if you need to adjust positions, you can, but at least for the book, I want people sitting up. All right. So you ever hear of that jazz playing man? The man with the cats who could swing with his band? He was born in 1899 in Washington, D.C., aboard Edward Kennedy Ellington. But wherever young Edward went, he said, "Hey, call me Duke." Duke's name fit him right. He was a smooth-talking, slick-stepping, piano-playing kid. But his piano playing wasn't always as breezy as his stride, the way he walked. When Duke's mother, Daisy, and his father, J.E., enrolled him in piano lessons, Duke didn't want to go. Baseball was Duke's idea of fun. But his parents had other notions for their child. Duke had to start with piano basics, his fingers playing the same tired tune. 1, 2, right? 1, 2. Daisy and J.E. made Duke practice day after day. To Duke, 1 and 2 wasn't music. He called it an Umpty Dumpty sound that was headed nowhere, worth following. He quit his lessons and kissed the piano a fast goodbye. So from the outset, I'll show this around. Does it seem like Duke is very invested in his piano playing? We're hearing he's a pretty cool character, right? So let's see what happens. All right. Years later, on a steamy summer night, Duke heard that Umpty Dump playing in a whole different way. Folks called the music ragtime, piano that turned Umpty Dump into a soul-rousing music, a rock. The ragtime music set Duke's fingers to wiggling. Soon he was back at the piano, trying to plunk out his own ragtime rhythm. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. At first, that was the only crude, a word we know, tinkling Duke knew. So when he heard this new ragtime sound, what did it inspire him to do?
He wanted to make his own
We need to raise your, yes,
He wanted to make his own music out
Right.
of what he learned.
right, so he's going to see what might shake out. But with practice, all Duke's fingers rode the piano keys. Duke started to play his own made-up melodies, the sounds he recreated. Whole notes, chords, sharps, and flats, left-hand hops and right-hand slides. Believe it, man. Duke taught himself to press on the curlies like nobody else could. His 1 and 2 Umpty Dump became a thing of the past. Now, playing the piano was Duke's all-time love. When Duke was 19, he was entertaining ladies and gents at parties, pool halls, country clubs, and cabarets. He had fine as pie good looks and flashy threads. He was a ladies' man with flair to spare, and whenever a pretty-skinned beauty leaned on Duke's piano, he played his best music. Composition smoother than a hairdo sleek with pomade, which is like a hair gel, right? So he's quite the character, right? He's coming up in the world. It wasn't long before Duke formed his own small band, a group of musicians who played all over Washington, D.C. But soon they split the D.C. scene and made tracks for New York City, for Harlem, the place where jazz music ruled. Does anyone know where Harlem is within the city? Bronson?
It's at the top of Manhattan.
Yeah, so Manhattan Island, it's the very upper part of the island.
Borough.
Yeah, and at this time it was traditionally African-American neighborhood, so they were moving there from D.C. to find people who were also interested in playing jazz. So now they're seeing that's kind of the heartland of jazz at this point. They called themselves the Washingtonians and performed in all kinds of New York City honky-tonks and clubs. Barron's Exclusive, The Plantation, Ciro's, and the Kentucky Club. Folks got to know the band by name and came to hear them play. So this will be another good example of Andrew Davis Finkel's research skills. So she ensured that all of those were places that Duke and his band actually played. Then, on an autumn day in 1927, Lady Luck smiled pretty on the Washingtonians. They were asked to play at the Cotton Club, Harlem's swankiest hangout, a big-time night spot. The Cotton Club became a regular gig for Duke and his band. They grew to 12 musicians and changed their name to Duke Ellington and his orchestra. Night after night, they played their music, which was broadcast live all over the radio. So, he's gaining in popularity, fame, right?
Really a popular band.
Yeah, there's a lot of people coming out to see him. For all those homebodies, people who like to stay at home, out in the radio lovers' land, folks who only dreamed of sitting pretty at the Cotton, the show helped them feel like they were out on the town. Duke's Creole love call, one of his songs, was spicier than a pot of jambalaya. His mood indigo was a musical stream that swelled over the airwaves. It seemed like people are liking his music.
Oh yeah. They don't like it. They love to see us.
Oh. Sometimes the orchestra performed their tunes straight up, the way they practiced it. But other nights, when the joint started to move, Duke told his band to play whatever came to mind, to improvise their solos, to make the music fly. They did. Each instrument raised its own voice. One by one, each cat took the floor and wiped it clean in his own special way of playing. Sonny Greer pounded out the bang of a jump rope beat on the street with his snare drum, a subway beat on his bass drum, a sassy ride on the cymbal. Sonny's percussion was smooth and steady. Sometimes only his drumsticks made the music, cranking out the rattly beat of wood slapping wood. So we're learning a little bit more about his orchestra, right? Some of the important players. So what does Sonny Gray do? He plays,
Play the drum.
yeah, he plays the drums. And he has all these kind of unique personalizations on it, right?
Son of Rick.
Along with Sonny, Joe, Tricky Sam, Nathan, went to work on his trombone, sliding smooth melodic gold. He stretched the notes to fill their full tilt, pushing and pulling their tropical lilt. When Tricky Sam was through, he nodded to Otto, Toby, Hardwood. Your turn, he'd say. Take the floor, David. So again, that's kind of that call and response where they're playing off of each other. Toby let loose on his sleek brass sax, curling his notes like a kite in the wind. A musical loop-de-loop with a serious twist.
Like a carry.
Yeah. Last came James Bubber Miley, a one-of-a-kind horn player. He can make his trumpet wail like a man whose blues were deeper than a deep blue sea. To stir up the sound of his low-moan horn, Bubber turned on a growl from way down his throat. His gut bucket tones played a spell on the moon.
Was Louis Armstrong?
He was not. Louis was had his own thing going.
He used to like trumpet.
Yeah, those solos were kicking. Well, what's a solo in music?
Like someone who plays it by themselves. Like they don't have anyone else. They're just
Correct.
like
You
my
try.
brother. No, like my brother. He plays the flute by himself.
Okay. Yeah, those solos were kicking. Hot buttered bop with lots of sassy, cool tones. When the band did their thing, the Cotton Club performers danced the Black Bottom, the Fishtail, and the Susie Q, just as we have certain dances we do today, right? And while they were cutting the rug, Duke slid his honey-colored fingertips across the ivory 88s.
What are the
What instrument would
the
that be
keys
referred
of the piano?
Right on.
The keys of
The word on Duke and his band spread from New York to Mason to Kalamazoo, and on the sunshiny Hollywood Hills. The whole country soon swung to Duke's beat. Once folks got a taste of Duke's soul-sweet music, they hurried to record stores, asking, "Yo, you got the Duke? Slide me some King of the Keys, please. Gonna play that Piano Prince in his band." People bought Duke's records, thousands of them. In 1939, Billy hired Billy Strayhorn, a musician who wrote songs. Billy became Duke's ace, his main man. Duke and Billy worked as a team. Together they composed unforgettable music. Billy's song, Take the A Train, which we'll hear in a moment, was one of the greatest hits of 1941. So this is almost 80 years now after we heard about Mr. Lincoln.
Did Duke ever get married?
It's not mentioned in the book.
Oh.
With the tunes that he and Billy wrote, Duke painted colors with his band sound. He could swirl the butterscotch tones of Tricky Sam's horn with the silver notes of the alto saxophones. And ooh, those clarinets. Duke could bend their hot red lips with a purple dash of brass from the trumpet section. In time, folks said Duke's real instrument wasn't his piano. It was his orchestra. Most people call his music jazz, but Duke called it the music of my people. And to celebrate the history of African American people, Duke composed a special suite he called Black, Brown, and Beige. A suite that rocked the bosom, lifted the soul. Kind of your chest, they hit you in the chest a little bit. Black, Brown, and Beige sang the glories of dark skin, the pride of African heritage, and the triumphs of black people from the days of slavery to the years of civil rights struggle. you see Duke with his quote unquote main instrument. Yeah. Yes.
Is the Duke basketball team related to that?
No, it's unrelated. But interesting question, yeah.
Duke's college.
Duke introduced black, brown, and beige at New York's Carnegie Hall. I'll leave this for this page. A symphony hall so grand that even the seats wore velvet. Few African Americans had played at Carnegie Hall before. Duke and his orchestra performed on January 23rd, 1943. Outside, the winter wind was cold and slapping. Inside, Carnegie Hall was sizzling with applause. Duke had become a master maestro. Because of Duke's genius, his orchestra now had a musical mix like no other. Now you've heard of the jazz playing man. The man with the cats who could swing with his band. King of the Keys, Piano Prince, Edward Kennedy Arlington, the Duke. So there's a little afterward, just as there was with the story about the Star Spangled Banner. So it's called Truly Duke. It's a little bit of a biography, short one. Yes, if you need to switch positions, you can switch positions. Edward Kennedy Duke Ellington was born April 29, 1899. You still need to be facing me, though. Was a forerunner in the evolution of jazz. He composed and played swing music, one of the best-loved jazz forms to grace the American music scene. The roots of jazz encompasses several types of music: blues, ragtime, folk music, and marches that originated from the musical traditions of African American people. Since its birth in the early 20th century, jazz has grown to include many styles that remain popular today. In 1927, Duke Ellington and his orchestra began a highly successful engagement at Harlem's renowned Cotton Club, which we heard about above. A run that lasted 5 years. By the early 1930s, Duke began to produce complex, original arrangements that resembled the music of classical orchestras, yet were still popular among all kinds of music lovers. Sophisticated Lady and I Got It Bad are among the most memorable. Duke composed some of these tunes together with Billy Strayhorn, which made his band a force to be reckoned with. Duke Orchestra toured the United States and abroad, and delighting audiences wherever they went. And again, on January 23rd, 1943, Duke performed a concert at Carnegie Hall. Though some musicians had played there before, few had performed elaborate music, complex like Duke's. Duke wrote Brown, Black, and Beige especially for the event. This composition showed the world that Duke Ellington was an accomplished composer, a symphonic master whose music had come to be regarded as beyond category for labels, right? During the more than 50 years of his celebrated career, Duke wrote and composed at least 1,000 compositions. So he wrote 1,000 songs. Some say as many as 5,000, including ballet, film scores, orchestral suites, musicals, and choral works. More than 800 musicians appeared with his orchestra during its years on the road. Duke Ellington died on May 24th, 1974, but his musical genius is far from gone. His influence on history music and on musicians everywhere continues even today. So, with that, since we're soon to be losing focus on the road, let's return to our seats. If you're Joe or Rufus, you'll need to move your chair. That's right, yes. Yes, sir. Thank you.
I wish I had my belt.
Yes.
Alex, I wish I had my belt.
We're not quite done yet.
I wish I had my belt.
Nope. Listen. So, as Joe and Rufus things to do. Alright,
We're gonna listen to the A-Train.
we are going to listen to it.
A-Train.
So, Duke Ellington, the band leader. So this website takes into account a couple different ways in which Duke demonstrated his musical knowledge. He's not just English. So it says, there's a quote here from John Edward Haas. It says, Ellington managed to create an orchestra that sounded unlike any other. He These selected players, for their distinctive voices, learned to downplay their weaknesses and emphasize their strengths. Wrote to highlight them singly, like kind of solo, right? Them alone, those various players alone, and in various combinations. So, composed by Billy Strayhorn, who was his ace man, right? Take the A Train was the theme song of Duke Ellington's band for many years. As you continue to listen to Duke Ellington's orchestra, you will begin to recognize the sounds of his key musicians, each of whom had distinctive ways of playing their instruments. The ensemble was divided into 3 sections: brass, reeds, and percussion. So percussion would be drums, what would brass be ours?
Brass would be trumpet, trombone,
And reeds are
clarinet, saxophone.
some of the instruments we play in this class. So,
Not hobos.
we'll get to this in a second, but we're going to watch the video for Take the A Train. And here's a little background on the video itself, so we know what we're getting into. So it's taken from a film called, I think, Rebel, I'm not sure how to say that, with Beverly. This film featured an array of World War II era musical stars, including the Duke Ellington Orchestra. But Hollywood got it wrong. The setting here is a railroad train, while the lyrics refer to a New York City subway train. After the band played the theme, vocalist Betty Roche sings the chorus with a call and response, right? Pass, pass, pass. Right, that kind of thing. The call and response interplay by a vocal trio. So she's saying one part of the lyrics, and then they're saying another part of the lyrics. With a vocal trio consisting of cornetist Rex Stewart, trumpeter Ray Nance, and baritone saxophonist Harry Hartley. As Roche and Nance dance in the aisle, solos follow, and by Ellington, Junior Ragland on bass, and Ben Webster on tenor saxophone. Hey, let me, alright, so here's the song.
It's on a record.
That's Duke. It's very upbeat, kind of lively too, right? You can dance to this, so people like,
Old on video with saxophone is very
yeah, it's a little shrill. It's an old time. So yeah, they're not in New York City, they're on just some random train, but close enough, right? We're getting singing in just a moment. That's like call and response. Why would they want to go to Harlem in this era?
because they want to go to that's where the center of jazz was.
So, yeah. And it easy for presidents, you know.
The right on top position. Have it sunny.
I'm not sure.
That's
No.
a good one.
So yeah, it gives you a sense of what this music was, right? We talked so much about it, we heard so much about it, we hadn't actually heard the music. So
Can we do another one?
we got one more thing with this, and then we're actually almost ready for lunch. So this, I don't know, we don't have to read through all of this, but this is a little bit more information about the song itself. And I thought you guys would find it interesting just to look at kind of the cover here, right? It says, Take the A Train cover detail. So the original sheet music edition of Take the A Train was published by Temple Music. Company Ellington established control of his musical copyrights. So he owned his own music. It shows the New York City subway train marked A, and it's from a picture collection. There's also a couple of examples of the sheet music which we saw on our worksheet, right? We saw the very bottom left-hand side here. And so here's a poster of Duke.
Sounds like the dude.
Yep. So,
How long was he?
well, he died in 1974, and he was born in 1899. So can you tell me?
75 years.
Excellent. There you go.
Long.
So he lived a pretty full life. So
Wait,
here,
what age is 75?
as you see here, the sheet music, right? So Rufus, if there's sheet music for this song, do you think this is more of a song where they would improvise, or that they would play off music?
Playoff.
Probably, right? We didn't see an example of the improvisation that they talk so much about, but with those solos, there's some chance for them to play around with this.
Why does it say Ruth Ellington?
It's the person who owns this piece of paper. Right? So this is it in 1957, which is a little bit more typed up, right? This is the original one, which is a little bit more choppy. But this is the song we do. This is our number one hit. I don't know. It's been copied by numerous musicians. Apparently, like 800 or so musicians have
Attempted.
covered the song, done their own rendition. So it's really kind of his marquee or most famous hit. So I don't know. That was really it. Just wanted you guys to get some more background on that. So that's it for me. With that, let us dismiss for lunch so we can get started with that.
Can I go back?
Yes, you may.
Can I get a drink?
Yes.
Can I get
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Would you mind sticking around for just 2 minutes so I can heat up my lunch?
Mr. Evans, I have a question for you. Why is your computer up there?
So I had to record something.